Last week I drew Abbas Kiarostami from the Bowl of Filmmakers. Now, Abbas Kiarostami is an Iranian filmmaker and he's pretty critically acclaimed. He even won the Palme d'Or in 1997 for his movie Taste of Cherry. And I really love Taste of Cherry, but it's also the only film by Kiarostami that I've seen, so of course I was gonna include him in the Bowl of Filmmakers, because it's about fucking time I watched this film, CloseUp.
So I'm guessing this question's in need addressing, huh? Like how we freshen our adolescence and reckon them.
Now, you may have noticed already that this episode is very different from the previous one. As my Spielberg video was 100% improvised, this episode is 100% scripted, and here's why. I don't want to limit myself to following a specific path when I create these reviews. Yes, I want a consistent upload basis, but I also don't want you to essentially watch the same shit with just a couple of alterations every week. As much as other great shows does this, it will get really fucking boring for me as the creator, since I do feel like I shine when I can get as creative as possible. Compare it to TV shows. Instead of having an awesome show with the same intro every episode, I will be bringing you an awesome show with a different intro every episode. With that being said though, I'm also not aiming for every episode to be as unique as possible. I just want to be as linear as possible whenever I feel like it, and go as crazy whenever I feel like it. And what better episode to try new things than this episode, because CloseUp is one of the most unique films I've seen in a long time. The story is about this man named Hossein Sabzian who visited a family's house pretending to be Iranian filmmaker Mohsen Makhmalbaf, looking to make a new film. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing any of these right, but whatever. And the way Kiarostami made this film is that he filmed certain scenes as the real story is unfolding. For example, there are a bunch of footage from the actual trial, but he also had a bunch of scenes reenacted, and everyone involved in this actual story is playing themselves in these reenactments. And what makes it even better is that none of them does a bad job. Most of the performances in the reenactments are great, which is amazing because they aren't professional actors. That aspect really impressed me. A theme I picked up on in CloseUp, and what I also picked up on in Taste of Cherry, is human suffering, not physical but psychological. Hossein Sabzian is telling the court about his life being tough, the family is talking about being emotionally damaged by this incident, and Sabzian himself looks really emotionally damaged at the end. It feels like Kiarostami reuses this theme quite a lot in his films. Yes, I've only seen CloseUp and The Taste of Cherry, but I have a feeling that I'll come across this theme if I watch some of his other films. Another thing about CloseUp that I liked was Kiarostami's involvement in the trial. While the judge asked Sabzian the basic questions revolving the legal issues, Kiarostami was asking me more psychological questions. He was hitting the points that the judge didn't and probably didn't even care about. And I was really pleased to hear him ask these kinds of questions, because I was pretty much asking the same things. This way we got a much better character study than what we would get from just having the judge asking all the questions. I found myself questioning though how Kiarostami was able to have the word as much as he did. As great of an interviewer as he was, I kept asking myself why the judge even let him ask these questions in the beginning. Earlier he tells him that there are a lot of more interesting cases, and he asks why they want to film this particular case, indicating that he probably doesn't really give a shit about this particular case that much, so that might be the reason. But still, it felt like Kiarostami had way too much power in the courtroom. He really sounded like Sabzian's shrink. And if I had found this scene out of context, I would probably assume exactly that. There was one scene at the end that really made me appreciate the film's genuineness. The sound unexpectedly disappeared, and we can hear the filmmakers acknowledging this and discussing it. And where any other talentless idiots would re-record this and pretend as if it never happened, Kiarostami has enough of a backbone to keep it in. He's simply stating, this is what happened, this is how we're showing it. And this could also be tied into the human suffering, since I guarantee that Kiarostami suffered when he reviewed these clips in the editing room. I'm not talking about what goes on in the film that much, and that is because I really hate spoilers, especially when it comes to things that I'm excited to watch. I never watch trailers, and I often stay away from reviews before watching a film, and that is because a lot of reviewers like to talk about what goes on in the film much. So just because my review lacks plot description, don't watch any trailers to this film, just watch the film. To conclude, I really liked CloseUp. It was refreshing, unique, and very genuine. Did I like it more than Taste of Cherry? Probably not, but like I said, I really love Taste of Cherry, and CloseUp was objectively just as great. Now watch me as I pull the name for the next week's review. Oh, and by the way, if you want a more in-depth review of Taste of Cherry, then please watch this video by CuriousDave, link in the description.
Please get out your seat, get out your seat. Verses written with scalpels. He's the junior king standing out, shouting on the balcony. How come he's not in counseling? Fuckers loud while he's sound asleep. Heard he was dope as sour D. Nigga was courage cow.
What up? I hope you had a lot of fun watching that video, because I had a lot of fun making it. In fact, I'm having a lot of fun right now because Fight Club is playing on television. Yes, that means that I do love David Fincher. However, my point is, even though I do love David Fincher, you still won't be able to see me pulling his name out of the bowl of filmmakers. In fact, there are a lot of directors you'll never gonna see me pull out of the bowl of filmmakers. And it could be for a lot of reasons. Could be because I've seen all of their films, I've seen all of the films of theirs that I want to see. I simply just not a fan of theirs, even though I do understand why they have fans, or because I hate them, or because I think they're overrated, or because I just don't want to watch one of their films on this show. So here's a list of a couple of filmmakers you'll never gonna see on this show. Okay, Ingmar Bergman, James Cameron, David Cronenberg, Guillermo del Toro, Terry Gilliam, Alfred Hitchcock, Ron Howard, Alejandro Jodorowsky, Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, Guy Madden, Takashi Miike, Christopher Nolan, Guy Ritchie, Robert Rodriguez, Martin Scorsese, Ridley Scott, Kevin Smith, Andy and Lana Wachowski, and Robert Zemeckis. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Let's pick another name. So, from this bowl of filmmakers. Look at that. Vincent Gallo. Next week we will be watching a movie by Vincent Gallo. Okay, so see you next week with a movie by Vincent Gallo. Bye.